Hi, I'm here with Joe Bradley, who's located in Lancashire in the UK, who is a physical medium and also a transfiguration. Am I saying that correctly?
Trance
Um,
and physical medium. Yeah.
Thank you. And she has a very exceptional background in her experiences. And she has Hope Spiritual Center. And what I'd like to know is how did that come about when you created Hope Spiritual Center? And did any of it have to do with your earlier years as you were developing your gifts? I want to say because you were born with them, correct?
I was. Yeah, I was. Born deaf initially. Um, and it wasn't discovered until I was about 4 years old, which is why I think I developed clairaudience because
Mm.
I was still responding to people. My mother thought I was slow because there would always be a few seconds delay, if she asked me a question. And of course, the spirit children that were always around me would say, "Oh, mummy's just asked you a question." And so then I would delay. And so I was very known as, oh, she's very insular and she's, very quiet and she's in her own world and she's a little bit slow. And of course I wasn't. I was just deaf. It was corrected with surgery, actually. Um, but yeah, I think it was probably starting in my very early years. And because of the rarer, well, I say rarer, not so highlighted physical mediumship abilities that kind of made me very, I suppose, driven to
Mhm.
produce a centre in my later years where some people could just turn up, be themselves, feel safe, secure, not judged, not put under any type of label, just themselves. Very much it was projected because of the pandemic and people being thrown into isolation as well. So you had an awful lot of people that were having these spiritual awakenings, not
Right.
really understanding what it was about. And I remember waking up one day in, what year was it, 2021, New
Mhm.
Year's Day. Well, I woke up and my mother was staying with me and she said, "Have you got any New Year's resolutions?" And we're just sort of coming out of all that COVID nonsense, as I call it. And I said, "Yeah." I said, I'm just gonna buy somewhere, Mum. And I said, "I'm gonna start a centre." I said, everything that people have survived, and it was surviving
Yeah.
lockdowns and all the restrictions and a virus and the propaganda and all of this. And I said, now that everyone's survived and they've actually started to connect with who they truly are, we need a safe space.
Right.
And so I did. That's what I did. She said to me, "Well, you're not getting any younger. You better get on with it," which is the type of banter that we had between ourselves. So that was all right. So we had a
Right.
bit of a laugh about it. And a few months later, I did. I purchased a building in Lancashire. I don't actually live there. I live down in Buckinghamshire. So I
Okay.
commute between the two. But that's exactly what we've made, this beautiful space where people can come and stay and learn from each other. We have wonderful tutors as well. And yeah, it's becoming quite popular.
It's a really nice center. I've been there and I've attended one of your workshops, which was absolutely fantastic. Um, talk about that because you are very few people know about you and what you do, how you mentor people that are having a spiritual awakening, and how is it important for them to be properly trained, and what do they look out for when they're trying to find someone to mentor with? What do you how do you guide
Yeah.
them?
Well, I mean, I always say word of mouth. Um, so all my clients, all my students tend to come word of mouth. So I don't really put a great deal of advertising out there. Maybe I should. I don't know. Um, but yeah, there's you have to, if you're looking for, say, a trance tutor, do your
Mhm.
research, watch videos, See if you connect to their energy. Do I resonate with this tutor? Ask other people. Do you know this person? Have you heard of their work? You know, it's not really one tutor will fit all. The other
Right.
thing is, one of the things that I really endorse is the flexibility. We can't be rigid in the way that we teach because we're all so unique. So one technique might not suit every student. So I do a lot of one-to-one training courses as well. You're doing
Right.
one.
Right.
And it will be very led by the student, the guide that's working with them, the ability within their auric space, because it's all to do with your aura, really, and their dedication to want to learn.
Right.
Trance in particular is a journey. On average, 7 years to develop as a trance medium. That's a long time.
Yeah, it is.
So there has to be dedication with the student really wanting to invest in themselves and their gifts. So, you know, I don't even think that there's even a particular formula that you could say would make a good trance medium, or even a good formula that would make a good trance tutor. Because like I say, you know, it's definitely word of mouth. I always take personal recommendations if I'm looking for something.
Right.
So yeah, that's what it's about, really.
And you have connected with people all over in different countries,
Yeah.
in states, all kinds of people that are having these spiritual awakenings. When you have events at Hope Spiritual Center, can you talk about how you do that? Like I know that you have the room for the circle for people that are coming in. You also have down in the basement a seance room where you hold seances. But you do offer different types of workshops. Do you want to talk about like some of the workshops that you have, which I
Yeah.
find very interesting?
Yeah, we have well, every type of sensitivity really, and well-being. So Hope Spiritual Centre is an ex-hotel. It's got 10 ensuite bedrooms. So we have a maximum of 24 people there. It's got 2 training rooms. One doubles as a healing room as well.
Okay.
One is a large one in the basement. We do a lot of trance and physical work there. I also have a lot of other tutors that come in and teach at the centre. So whether you're into shamanics, witchcraft, tarot, psychic development, astrology, numerology, everything can be reached through one space. So what would generally happen would be it might be a 2, 3, 4, or 5 night retreat. I can't always call them retreats. They're hard work.
Right.
Full on. You will go to bed absolutely exhausted, but hopefully feeling exhilarated. There are no egos. I don't allow egos. Egos have to be parked outside the door. It's
Right.
about supporting each other, wanting everyone to be as good as they can possibly be. There's lots of tears. There's lots of laughter. Tears because sometimes it's just sheer frustration.
Yeah.
A lot of the time, though, tears of joy because someone's made a connection that they've never made before. And so it can be overwhelming.
Right.
So we're very, very supportive of each other. We have a small library, but it's got some very rare books in the library. People are welcome to enjoy them while they're there. We have a beautiful lounge where people sit and enjoy a glass of wine at the end of the day. So we have lots of different areas within the centre, and we're right across the road to a beautiful beach. It's very, very productive on a learning level. People come. A lot of people come on their own. They're just brave. They go, oh, do you know, I'm just going to risk it and I'll come.
Right.
Come through the door. 15 seconds later, they are not on their own. Someone gravitates towards them every single time. And they'll go, oh, hi, are you new? Let me show you around.
Yeah.
Let me show you the ropes. People make friendships there for life.
They do.
So it's about a community as well.
It really is one where especially for those that do have a gift or an awakening, people don't accept them always. Your family or your close friends, kind of think that you're off a little bit.
Yeah.
And so I found it especially helpful when I went to discover myself, discover, okay, what is it that I think is going on? Is it real? Is it not real? And I've been mentored by you for quite a while now, and I've really come a long way, but still people don't understand. So when I did visit, it was just like there were people like me, different skill sets, different levels in their
Yeah.
development, but it was still a place of welcoming. You also have a kitchen that everybody can use, that they can cook their own meals, right? I mean,
We have two kitchens. Yeah, we have two kitchens. So we have a large open plan kitchen. We generally will provide a self service continental breakfast. We don't do lunch or evening meals. However, we are within 1 minute walk of fish and chip shop, Indian, Chinese, pizza. There's a pub restaurant at the end of the road. There's a cafe at the end of the road. There's a supermarket. So if people want to bring their own meals and ping them in the microwaves, they can. We have large fridges and freezers, lots of storage space. So there's lots of catering options. That's what I'm saying. People don't generally have much of an issue with it, to be honest. For people that are actually hiring the centre to run their own retreats from, you can also get outside caterers in, or you can bring your own cook with you. Most do. So, yeah, many, many options. Trust me, though, Chris, people wouldn't want to eat my cooking. So I'm doing them a favour, really.
Yeah, definitely. And one thing that I loved about it, aside from the seating area where you can just all eat together and just talk about your day, was
Yeah.
the fact that you have this beautiful patio. You can just walk out onto it, and it's got the little lights and everything, and you can go out there, enjoy a cup of coffee in the morning, cup of tea, mingle
Glass
with,
of wine in the evenings.
yeah, lots of wine. You've got
Yeah.
that fireplace in the common room.
Yeah.
One thing that I was surprised at is no TVs. Now, you gave us a strict lecture.
Well,
Uh,
we have one TV in the
yeah,
lounge for people that really want to watch TV.
right,
The bedrooms, though, are about sleep quality.
right.
So the main focus is very comfortable beds and bedding, beautiful hotel pillows. People always go on about my pillows.
I loved your pillows.
They're ensuite bedrooms, but we don't, there's a second kitchen, which we call the students' hot drink kitchen.
Right.
You want to come down in the morning, make yourself a cup of tea and take it back up to your room, then obviously do. It's your
Yeah.
home while you're there. But if we had TVs and tea and coffee facilities in the bedrooms, is kind of not achieving what I set out for it to be. It's a
Right.
place where people talk. Lots of people have lost the art of talking,
Yes.
where people listen and where people can go, I had that issue. That happened to me. They
Yeah.
start to share experiences. And that is some of the experience of hope.
Which I found, I know that when I was there, the group that we had there, I'm still friends with.
Yeah.
We connected on Facebook, and
Yep.
it's just nice to know that there's that support group there. And I am planning to come back in October. This Hope Center is also available, correct, for others that want to hold retreats there.
Yep.
So they contact you or,
Yeah, they can hire it on exclusive hire and they just get the whole place to
okay,
themselves.
okay,
Yeah, there's no sharing. So they would just hire it and however many days, nights they want it for. And that's it. They've got all the facilities there.
that's really nice. Um, I wanted to share with everybody that Joe has a book. It's called Spirit in the
Part in the
Physical.
physical.
Yes. And it's available on Amazon in Kindle and paper format. And it chronicles your awakening, your own awakening, which a lot of people don't know exactly that much about you. We know that you're a great mentor, and you're a wonderful medium, physical medium, and that you teach everybody. But there's little known about you, about how did Joe, how did you, I don't know, evolve? I mean,
Yeah.
what from
I
childhood?
mean, yeah, I think a lot of my destiny, shall I say, um, started as a child.
Yeah,
I'm quite private about my early years, but
right,
um, not really because I'm being secretive, but like a lot of mediums, it was tough. I
right.
came from a broken home. There was four of us. Um, my real father, who actually is now in spirit, was not a nice character. We
Hmm.
would often be taken to places in the middle of the night to keep us safe. So we don't really harp on it, but it is part of your survival. And anything that you survive, because I don't like the word victim.
Right.
We're not victims, we're survivors. But everything that we experience throughout our life, I find that we carry through in our work as we get older. You
Yes.
know, how many times have you sat there and you've gone, why did that happen to me? I don't
Yeah.
understand it. And
Yeah.
then as you move forward in your life, you probably help somebody else
Yes.
because straight away you can empathize.
Right.
But your work as a medium or a sensitive, or whether you use it full time or not, it makes no
Right.
difference. Things will start to make sense. Ah, that's what that was about. Um, very isolated I was as a child. Although I had siblings, I was a very insular child. Um, and, even now, I look at my life and kind of my public life, but my private life is really I'm very insular about it, really.
Yes.
I have a very small group of very good friends. Um, so I'm sort of like in a bit of a protective bubble in that way. And I absolutely adore my kids and my grandkids. They are my life.
Right.
Um, but yeah, so you kind of look at everything that you live through, survive, and never think of yourself as a victim. Because if we carry that victim mentality throughout life,
Yes.
we're not really growing and moving from it.
No, we're not.
We're giving ourselves an excuse why, as an adult, we still don't deal with things. Well,
Right.
I'm a victim, I was a victim of that. Yet you were, but you're now a survivor because the power is now back with you. You're an adult. You're much more in control. As a child, we don't have that same power.
Right.
We're at the hands of other people. And I think people just need to take a step back. When I had my true awakening, I mean, I always knew I was a medium, but I had a true awakening and I spent hours meditating every day and
Right.
everything started to make sense.
Right.
I had that big question like everybody else does. Why am I here?
Yes.
What's all this shit about? Really? Putting
Right.
it bluntly, it was.
Right. Right.
How's this all? And
Absolutely.
and so I spent hours when I had this huge awakening. And when I came out of it, I truly felt like, I suddenly emerged as this butterfly.
Yeah.
Um, I'd been very cocooned. I'd been very insular. I was, when we're in that, we can't see outside of it. And so we have to grow within that before we can then truly emerge and go, hi, here I am. But I don't mean in an egotistical way, like, hey, look at me, I'm better than you.
Yeah.
It's
Right.
not what it's about at all. But you suddenly realize you see things with greater clarity.
Hmm.
Um, and you have to be brave as well. Because some of it you think, oh no, I don't want to look back at that. That was really painful.
Right.
But I think if you can get your mind to, yeah, but I'm not in that situation now. I'm in control now.
Right.
And I have survived it. Now I can look back at it and see it for what it truly was. And greater clarity comes in all the time.
Right.
So it shaped me as a medium. I do know that.
And I know even though you were born with this gift, you still had to go through many, I want to say, well, in your book, you call them in pathway to spirit, you call them experiments where you were transfiguration and you had a circle, a physical circle where you all sat together. And so even though you had these gifts, you still had to, develop them.
Absolutely.
And
Yeah.
I think people, I want to say more so in the States here because I'm in the United States. They think that, well, you can, just pick this up and, develop your gift. And in a year, you're going to be making a ton of money uh,
Yeah.
doing readings. And they don't realize that there is so much dedication attached to it. And they also don't realize that there's a dark side to it too,
Yeah.
which was one of your seminars that I took was called Tackling the Dark Side. And I think people really have to be aware of that, right?
Well, there's balance, isn't there? In
Yeah,
everything, good and bad in everything. We don't focus on the bad because we're aware that it's out there. But whatever we start to think about, we can draw to us.
right,
And so we have to be very careful with our mindsets. But our mind is the most powerful tool within our bodies. To a certain degree, we can create our own reality to a certain degree, but it's very dependent on others that come around you.
right,
I always say, when I was, I had this huge awakening, and then all of a sudden, the physical mediumship and the trance mediumship started to kick in. And I was like, what is this? What's going on? But I had this ability, or so I'm told, I had this ability to go, oh, that's interesting.
yeah,
I didn't close myself down and go, oh my God, that's scary.
yeah,
Although some of the experiences that they can read of in my book,
right.
you know, they might go, oh my God. Um, but
I
to me,
know,
everything was, I wasn't harmed by any of it, you see. And
right,
I think people need to remember that. You don't tend to find that those on the other side draw close because, when it's people working with you they're not there to harm you. But people also forget that they have the ability to go, whoa, okay, too fast, too much.
right.
And the guides will push the boundaries because they want to work with you and they're drawing you in. And it's like, look what we can do. And so I had this ability to always go, oh, that's interesting. What's that then? And if I did see something that was a bit unnerving, I go, okay.
Yeah,
Um, so, but I'm also not really a gullible person where I would just blindly accept either.
right,
But you are very much you work as a team. The amount of people that say to me, my team tells me this and my team tells me that, and I can't do that because, they say, you are part of your team. And I say this all the time to people, but you're part of the team.
right,
Without you, there is no team.
exactly,
So and you should get into the habit of working as a team.
right,
They want your opinion as much as you want their opinions. You can't operate as a medium without them. They can't operate from their side without you. So there has to be cooperation and mutual respect and a lot of love and trust between the teams, both sides as well.
also the ego can't get in the way, and that's something that we have a lot of people do have difficulty with. The ego is just like you have
Yeah.
to set that aside and you have to just actually I've taken uh and that's interesting. When anything happens to me, I don't go, oh my God. I go, okay, now that I know what I know, I go, okay, that's interesting. I'm
Yeah.
progressing. So
Yeah.
that's really kind of that's kind of like really cool for me. And yeah, some of the things in your book, I did have to put it down and think about it for a bit because it was sort of like, oh my God, how did you look through that? Those experiences, but it's so informative, especially if you don't know where do I go,
And I think also the other thing was um, I wasn't aware that trance and physical mediumship existed. I was like, what is that?
Yeah,
Um, isn't it normal that when you walk in a room, doesn't everybody's radio just turn on? I thought it was normal. It was my life. And then someone puts a label on it
mm,
because we live in a labeled world, don't we? Everything's got a label.
yes,
So, all of a sudden I'm given a label. Oh, that's physical mediumship, is it? What's that then? So everything to me also was, well, it was wondrous, wow, there's a name for this. I
right,
didn't know that. I think I referred to trance though as the peculiar state of trance. I think
yes,
so. How I referred to it in my book. Trance is a whole different kettle of fish. It's fantastic. It's frustrating.
yeah,
It's wonderful. It's a battle because we're control freaks by nature.
right.
And I think, and I didn't look for trance. It just suddenly started. I was having episodes.
Ah, okay.
And I would say to my friends, they might come around for an evening and something might happen. And I go, I've had an episode, haven't I? Because I know something's occurred, but I'm not really quite sure what's occurred. All I
Right.
know is I felt a bit weird again. And then something's occurred. And, and my friends would be sat there going, oh my God, that was so cool. Okay. Something's happened. Not, so it was very vague.
Yeah.
And trance was not something I looked for. I saw my tutor do it once and I was fascinated because everything to me, it was almost like I was a new child. Oh my God, to me, you see, everybody heard spirits speak next to them, didn't they? Can't
Yeah.
everybody hear them? Or can't everybody see them? Because my mother was clairvoyant as well, she never made a big issue about it. So I just thought it was natural and normal. Everybody had these experiences. And so to me, it was like a sort of like, really moment when people said, well, I can't hear them. I
Yeah.
thought other people were mad, like, really? What do you mean you can't? What do you mean you can't hear them? Well, did you just see that lady? No, what lady? So to me, it was just such a natural thing.
Right.
And I think because of the upbringing and, we did have a lot of pain and trauma as kids. Um, so, and I think that actually increased my sensitivity with the other side because
Mm,
you look for escapism as well as a child when you're going through a lot of trauma and you feel fearful, you attract in, don't you?
right. You
I
do.
mean, some kids might come out fighting and unfortunately might get hooked on drugs and things like that, but I didn't.
Right.
I
Yeah.
became very insular. And the thing is, our connection is very dependent on us being able to quieten ourselves. And I spent a lot of time within that quietness within myself because
Yes.
that was my safe space, and so all of a sudden I start having these strange episodes and I'm like, what is going on here? I must be ill. Something's happening to me, I'm losing a bit of time here as well. I don't really know what's going on. And so, to me, trance was a battle, a real battle for a few years. And then once I'd got through that and I'd conquered this altered state, my guide said to me one day, we want you to teach. Well, I laughed. I laughed.
Yeah.
You're going to laugh, aren't you? Me? I've just had this tremendous battle with trying to hand over control to all of you so that you can use me in this way. I haven't got a clue. I can't teach it. Not a clue. And that was a few years ago now. And they said, well, but you were supposed to have a battle, because when students come to you, a lot of them aren't going to be at the start of their development.
Right.
Some would have hit a brick wall like you have.
Right.
You need to be able to help them, push them up over that wall, get them over that wall so they can carry on. And I said, well, you've chosen the wrong person. I'm not the best person here at all, you know. And they said, well, we've got this really easy system that we're going to teach you. Being clairaudient, sometimes when I say to people, I've had a download, they think I've got on Google and like Googled it, And I go, no, download from my guides, just sit there
Yeah.
in the chat and I've just literally type it all out. And they said, we're going to download to you a really easy system.
Right. Yeah.
Well, I was quite indignant, I have to say. Oh, right, I said. I gave them a lot of grief about it. Oh, right. So you're going to give me this really easy system for me to teach, but no, you're not going to, you're not going to actually give me the easy system when I needed it.
Right.
And they said, well, it'll make sense. And of course, over the years, it has made sense why I had this battle and why I had to understand where a lot of the students were getting stuck, because I'd been stuck.
Right.
And so, yeah, that's really kind of how it all came about for me.
Well, I, for one, love the way you mentor because I was stuck. I didn't know what was going on. And I, before I even ran into you, I ran into so many people, that say, oh, yes, we will train you. And, you waste a lot of time and you waste a lot of money. So I think it's really important, that you do your research and that don't be afraid to use Google to find out somebody's background, because Google is a very small place in a big world.
Yeah.
So definitely. And you've got a third book coming out. What's it going to be called again?
It's going to be called The Weird and the Wonderful.
Okay.
And like the first two books, it's all truth, it's all experiences.
Right.
But The Weird and the Wonderful, I mean, I laugh when I write. I'm still writing it at the moment. And I do take the reader on a bit of an up, down, up, down. What do I mean by that? They might read one chapter and go, oh, where there's been this really lovely interaction with spirit. And then the next chapter, they go, oh my God, oh my God. And then the next one will be, oh. So, so I'm sort of, but that's my sense of humor, to be
Yeah.
honest, Chris.
Yeah.
I like to be unpredictable.
And you are.
I am. Yeah, I know. I am. I'm a very disciplined tutor, though. People do say to me, oh my God. In fact, I had a referral about a month ago. This lovely lady contacted me and she went, I've been referred to you for trance training. And I said, oh, okay. Let's have a bit of a chat and see if I can help you. And she said, yeah, you mentored a friend of mine. And I went, okay. And she gave me the name. And I went, oh, yeah, I do. Yeah, I remember her. So she went, well, she said, she's told me that you're quite disciplined. I said, I am, because of some of the horrors that I've seen over the years.
Yeah.
And she said, yeah, she told me. If she tells you to drink your water, drink your bloody water. Correct, I said.
Yeah. That's
So,
great.
yeah, so I am, but only because of some of the work
Right.
that I do, i.e. tackling the dark side, and
Right.
some of the predicaments that I've seen people have to battle. And so I am very disciplined, and I'm yeah, quite a tough tutor,
Right.
but hopefully not in, I mean, I've mentored hundreds of people over the years, and it's always a blessing to me when I'm part of someone's journey. So I will never be stern just for
No.
the sake of being stern. But hopefully I'm very supportive as well, because I've been there. I know what it's like. Been there.
Right. Well, there's a difference between being, how do I want to say, disciplined and mean,
Yeah.
as opposed to disciplined as to I'm doing this for a reason and being supported at the same time, which you absolutely do. And that's hard to do when you're mentoring somebody because sometimes we don't always understand, what is happening and why we have to do this. And you're more than happy to explain, okay, this is
Absolutely.
why, this is what I see. But you also help other people that are having difficulties with, I want to say, the dark side. And
Yeah.
that's one of your gifts as well, that you're able to release the that part of spirit. Uh,
Yeah. Unfortunately, there's balance in this world. And yeah, I do often get called in to deal with possession cases,
yeah,
which we don't really talk about that work because it's scary for people and it is incredibly rare. I have no idea how, when someone does have that type of a spiritual problem, my name gets given to them. I have no clue.
Mhm.
Um, I've had members of churches contact me as well. And
Right.
I'm like, how did you get my name?
Yeah.
How did you get my contact details? Um, and they go, well, it's a bit of a strange one. And they'll give me a whole scenario. Um, but spirit have a way, I suppose, don't they? Of
Yes.
always leading you to the person who they think can help you. I can't say it's work that I enjoy. Um, it's not. It's not work I enjoy because you've always got someone who's really suffering. But fingers crossed, we seem to have been able to, I say we, I have a colleague that works with
Yes.
me
Yeah.
doing this work. Um, we seem to be able to help the people that do come. But I do want to stress it is incredibly rare.
Yeah.
But yeah, they
It
do.
has to be very draining on you. It also has to be, well, I
It's
know.
not so much draining. I wouldn't say
Okay.
it's draining. Um, Unfortunately, I fell prey to a possession myself many years ago, and I survived it. And again, it's experiences, isn't it, that you
Right.
survive that gets carried through in your work.
Ah, yeah.
But yeah,
Sense. Makes total sense. Well, recently, we have a YouTube channel for you now.
yeah, we do.
So,
All thanks to you, though, Chris.
well, thank you. And
I've no clue, have I? I'm not a technical person at all. Not at
that's okay. I think it's my mission to get you out there because I just think at this point it's needed. Somebody that has your experience, that has your gift. It's needed for people that don't know where to go and need to be, I feel, mentored the right way, which it's not out there readily. There's too many people that say they can do it, that can mentor you, but that's so, from my experience, not as well as, I can attest to what you've
all.
worked with me, how you've worked with me. So yeah, if you look up Joe Bradley on YouTube, you'll find her channel. You'll find lots of interviews that you have done in the past that probably nobody even knows about. So
No,
I've
I mean
them
in
all
the
up.
UK, obviously, my work is known in the UK. Obviously, not so much
Right.
abroad. Although saying that, I do have students that are in Australia and Sweden and places like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, not so easily contactable. Apparently,
Yes.
my downfall, of course.
Just
Um,
I Googled
yeah,
you. And if you Google Jill Bradley, you will find interviews. You'll find her YouTube channel and Facebook.
yeah.
And there's pretty interesting pictures, and there's little video clips of an actual voice box, which I found totally interesting.
Yeah, we have yeah, I mean my passion really has always been physical mediumship. I was always told all of this has to be done in darkness. And certainly when my own physical mediumship kicked it was all daylight, white
Yeah.
light. And but a lot of the phenomena, etc., is very much of the flavour of the Victorian days. So I do descend in the bloodline of D.D. Home, who was referred to him as the king of mediums, king of physical mediums. So, and a lot of these, since I've since found out, a lot of the physical mediums, it's bloodlines.
Right.
So I had no clue about that. Didn't even know that there was a label until I started to develop it. And it was actually my tutor said to me, "Oh, you're a physical medium." I went, "Oh, that's nice, dear. What's that then?" Not a clue. Not a clue. And but my passion obviously has been about developing that over the years. We've been really blessed. We've seen, I think, nearly every type of phenomena within the seance room and outside of the seance room as well. Some of the work being investigated, of course, by Norman Hutt, who was an ex-scientist.
Yes.
Fascinated. He was very connected to the Noah's Ark Society. I wasn't. Too young to be part of the Noah's Ark, which is unfortunate, but our library does have a few hundred copies of the Noah's Ark magazine that people like to look through. So yeah.
Yeah, you and I were talking about in the future of actually having Norman and yourself.
Yeah.
So we can talk about your first book and his experience, because he actually he describes his own experience with transfiguration and physical mediumship and the investigative part of it, which I think is really cool, because he actually says at the end, that this is true, this is real, I've seen it, it's happened to me, and I think that's just awesome. So,
well, he came over and he contacted me one day and said, "I want to come and do a series of experiments with your mediumship. What do you think?" I said, "Yeah, I don't mind." And so he said, "Well, I'll give you a list of the experiments I'm going to do before I come and do them." I said, "No, I don't want to know."
right.
I don't want to know. I said, "Just come and do what you want to do. It's fine. Don't mind." Because also, when you have this type of phenomena that's being produced from your energy field and through the energy that they will draw through ectoplasm, you also need to know that it's real, that you're not deluded. But I mean, because a lot of this stuff, the physical medium went actually, and I go, "Are you sure? Are you sure you saw that?" Yeah. So also you need to know on a certain level that people aren't getting carried away, that they're being talked into. That's what happened.
Right.
So you do need to know that your sitters really are having these experiences and that it really is real. And so when you've got an ex-scientist who knows quite a lot about this stuff because of being part of Noah's Ark, and they say, "I'd like to come and do experiments," then in a way that's actually pretty reassuring for yourself. I certainly found it quite reassuring. We also had phenomena that day, apparently, that was brand new, that he'd never experienced before. And we did that day also film the ectoplasmic voice box used for DV and IDV. And it was filmed in an overhead white light. And so it was really about breaking the myth as well that, physical mediumship has to be kept in the dark. It doesn't. I've got a huge library of photographs, transfiguration, trance photographs. We've even got the end of the voice box where it's floating around in the room. So it's fascinating, but you need to keep it real. You don't want to get a reputation for being deluded or, that it's not real. And so we look at the skeptics and the cynics of this world. And although it's not our job to convince them,
Right.
You still have to have that mindset where if a skeptic looks at it, looks at the evidence, even though they're not there at the time, they can take a good look at it and go, okay, what am I actually looking at here?
Right.
You want the work to be viewed at in its own right, to be able to stand alone. There's the circumstances, there's, people that were there. That was how the sitting was taking place, and here's the photographic or the video evidence.
Yeah.
We need to be able to pass on the knowledge, you see, Chris, to others that are walking the pathway after us.
Right. Which
That's what I think.
I, yeah, I truly do believe that, well, I believe that right now the whole world is on a precipice of
Oh,
awakening of sorts, because of what's
yeah.
going on in the world today. And yeah, it's about ready to, I think, change with all of this spiritual awakening all around the world. And I
Yeah.
think more people are probably going to follow that path, and which is why they need people like you who have gone through it, who
Yeah.
know, the ins and outs of it, who have experienced the bad and the good, and who have helped people. So that, I think that's perfectly honest, and I'm grateful, and I'm really blessed that I did find you. And I'm happy that, I'm able to continue studying under you, which I will, and I know many more will. And I'll be doing more interviews with your students,
Yeah.
um,
Looking forward to it.
all over. Yeah, all over. We'll get Norman here, and I'm sure that's going to be really interesting, his own experience. So I'm looking forward to
Absolutely.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm going
And
to make a few short videos as well for you to
oh,
put onto the channel. Just little exercises. There are, well, do you know what? When we had the pandemic, so many people were writing to me, sending me
ah,
emails or messages. They'd lost family members and friends.
yeah,
We've lost family members and friends. But a lot of them were writing to me, and it wasn't actually about them dying from a virus. It was cancer treatments withheld and things like this.
yeah,
But the point was that there was so many people touched by a loss
yeah,
and really turning and looking within themselves and almost trying to connect on that level of needing to understand, needing to come to terms with the loss, and sort of like moving forward. So I just think it's a good idea if I put little exercises out, maybe one a month or something, where people can just log in and listen to the video and have a little exercise to
yeah.
help them start to fine tune themselves. So that's what I want to do. So I will be putting one out soon. I'm going to make it, and then obviously get you to upload it to the channel. But it just helps people,
Right.
start to connect, really.
Yeah, and they also want to know, is there another side? Is this side of life the reality that we're in right now? Is it does it end? Where do we go? When I say transition, I don't want to say die, because I don't believe in
Yeah.
die.
I
I
say
believe,
transition as well, yeah.
yeah, I believe we just transition into another realm
Well,
of,
I actually think that we transition back home to our
oh,
true
there you go.
home. This isn't really a true home.
Right. Yeah,
Yeah.
I
One of
agree.
the
Right.
questions that people ask me all the time, they say, oh, why do we actually have an earth life? We're told it's so that you can learn unconditional love. I don't agree with that at all. We have unconditional love back home in the summerlands of spirit. That's where we
Right.
come from. I actually think we come here to learn the true meaning of fear.
Mm,
When you take a step back, everything in this world is about fear.
true.
So we've had the recent pandemic. Everybody, and look how the governments and everybody else, take a vaccine and protect granny. Wear your masks. 6 foot away. You know, so many people everything was built on fear around the
Yeah.
pandemic,
Yeah.
getting people to comply, bloody, bloody, blah. But if you look at all the other aspects of life, so we're fearful that, you know, we're going to be homeless. We're fearful that we'll lose our jobs, fearful that we're going to get sick, fearful we can't put food on the table, fearful that we can't pay our utility bills.
Yes.
Everything in this life is about fear. It's about conquering fear.
Oh.
So when people say to me, well, we're here to truly learn unconditional love, it's the one emotion I remember being connected to on the other side.
Ah.
Someone came to me once and they unfortunately had a stillbirth.
Oh.
And they said to me, why has this happened? You know, why is my baby not here?
Yeah, that's
And I
hard.
said, well, the communication that I actually received was I wasn't ready to come and confront fear.
Mm.
I'm loved where I am.
Yeah.
I'm not strong enough. I don't feel ready to come to live a fearful existence.
Mm.
And there are very few in this world that don't have fears.
Yeah, I think we all have fears. I know I do.
Yeah.
Oh, you're
So,
going to be on again. We're going to keep exploring because there's just so much to explore. There's so many aspects. You've touched the lives of so many people. So we're going to have them on and we're going to interview them. Well, at least I am. To find out exactly their experiences and how they're
yeah,
developing. And yeah, it's going to be great. And so keep an eye on Joe Bradley's channel because we're going to continue to add video to that. And look for her book on Amazon. Pathway to Spirit will be out probably in January. And then The Weird and the Wonderful, we'll be working on that one, won't we?
I will be finishing that book shortly. And then I will
Okay.
hand it over to you.
All
Um,
right.
yeah, and then hopefully it'll be out there on Amazon as well.
Yeah.
Hope Spiritual Centre does actually have TikTok as well.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
People
Very
can
interesting.
look up at Hope Spiritual, I think it's called.
Okay. All right. Well, I'll have to
So they'll
tune
be able
in.
to access videos of the actual centre and get a feel for it.
Yeah, absolutely. And we're going to be doing a little video on that as well, aren't we? When you go back to the center, you're going to really do room by room
I
with
will do a walk around
a
so that
walk
you can,
around. There you
yeah, so they
go.
can actually come in and take a look around. Yeah,
Yes, absolutely wonderful.
yeah.
All right, so we're going to sign off right now and keep an eye on the YouTube channel, and we'll talk to you later.
Lovely. Can I just wish everybody a very Merry Christmas?
Ah, and to you too, and all those around the world.
Absolutely.